Hello class 10. Today I am starting with a new chapter, that is transpiration. Now, in the reduced syllabus, the chapters which I have already completed, I am just repeating it once. I have completed genetics, I have completed absorption, cell division and structure of chromosomes. Then I have completed photosynthesis, I have completed excretory system. So these chapters are there in your syllabus. The reduced syllabus, the revised syllabus for your year, that is 2021. These chapters are there in your syllabus which I have completed. And also previously I had completed, I think, circulatory system and endocrine system, and I think nervous system. These three systems are also there in your syllabus. So please go through these chapters. In class 9 we had completed 3 chapters: nervous system, circulatory system and endocrine. All the 3 chapters are there in your syllabus also. So I am going according to the revised and reduced syllabus for your year. Clear? So transpiration is also there in your syllabus. So what is transpiration? It is the loss of water as water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. Aerial parts means it can be stem, it can be leaves, it can be flowers, branches, everything are the aerial parts of the plant. Clear? Now, all plants continuously absorb water through their roots. This water is conducted upwards through the stem and is distributed to all the aerial parts, including the leaves. Only a small quantity of this water is used by the plant in photosynthesis and other activities. The rest of it is almost lost to the atmosphere as water vapor during transpiration. Now, we have to demonstrate the process of transpiration, and for that, look at this diagram. This is a very important diagram, but it is a very simple diagram to demonstrate transpiration process. Take a medium-sized plant, well-watered plant, cover the plant with a transparent polythene bag and tie its mouth around the base of the stem. Leave the plant in sunlight for an hour or two and drops of water will soon appear on the inner side of the bag due to saturation of water vapor given out by the leaves. As we can see in the diagram, there are tiny droplets of water which has appeared. A similar empty polythene bag with its mouth tied and kept in sunlight will show no drops of water. This is a control to show that plants transpire water in the form of vapor. If tested with dry cobalt chloride paper, the drops will be confirmed as water only, because cobalt chloride test is a surer test for the test of water. So it will be confirmed that the droplets are nothing but the water droplets. Now, experiment number 2. Arrange 3 setups A, B and C. We'll see in the next figure. Wait, I'll show you the figure first and then we'll demonstrate the experiment. See students, this is the setup of the next experiment, that is A, B and C. As we can see, they have taken bell jars. We call these jars as bell jars, A, B, C, and we have kept the cobalt chloride paper also, which is originally blue in color, and it is converted to pink color when it comes in contact with water. We'll come to that. Take a small well-watered potted plant, preferably one with broad leaves. Enclose the pot completely within a polythene bag and tie the mouth of the bag firmly. This would prevent the escape of water vapor from the pot. Now cover the entire plant under a bell jar as in A. Just now I have shown you the diagram. Similarly, set up B. Arrange another similar plant and cover it with a bell jar exactly in the same manner as the first one, except that here you also keep a piece of dry cobalt chloride paper by the side of the plant inside the bell jar, that is B. The paper may be pinned to a wooden stick or to a strip of cork sheet. And setup C, take a third bell jar. This is the control setup. So without the plant, we'll keep the cobalt chloride paper. Now after about half an hour, what we'll observe? The first bell jar would show water vapor condensing on its inner walls, as we can see in this diagram. See, students, the water droplets. Now the second bell jar would also show a similar condensation. At the same time, the initially blue cobalt chloride paper in it would be pink. The blue color of the cobalt chloride paper in the third bell jar does not change at all, and there are no water droplets on the jar's inner walls either. The third bell jar in this experiment is a control, which proves that there was no moisture in the air. Now, by taking the 3 bell jars as described above, there is a double visual proof of transpiration. Number 1, condensation of the water vapor into droplets, and number 2, change of color of the cobalt chloride paper from blue to pink. You may simplify the experiment either by taking B and C only, or by taking the bell jar A and another empty bell jar without the plant or the paper. This can be another alternative setup. Okay. Now, we will directly come to the potometer method. Now, what is this potometer? It is a device that measures the rate of water intake by a plant, which is almost equal to the water lost through transpiration. So, potometer is a very important device by which we can measure the quantity of water which is being lost by the help of transpiration. Now, Ganong was the scientist who invented it, so we name it as Ganong's potometer, and this diagram is very important, students. This you can get for your diagram as well as for labeling. A twig of small suitable plant cut with a sharp knife is fixed in an apparatus as shown in the figure. The entire apparatus is filled with water so that no air spaces are present. An air bubble is introduced into the horizontal graduated capillary tube which is dipping into the beaker containing water. Now, as the transpiration proceeds and as the water is lost from the twig, a suction force is set up which pulls the water from the beaker, and the bubble in the capillary tube moves along. The readings on the capillary tube would give the volume of water lost in a given time. The air bubble can be brought back to its original position by releasing some more water from the reservoir into the capillary tube by opening the stopcock. Now please see the diagram properly, then I will describe it showing this diagram. Now you see, in this diagram we are seeing an air bubble. It is labeled as air bubble. I hope you can see this. Now this air bubble is deliberately introduced inside the capillary tube. Why? Because as much this air bubble will move due to the suction force which has been created inside, that will show the measurement of the water which is lost during the transpiration process, right? And we have taken a colored water so that we can take the reading properly by that, because water is colorless, so we cannot get the reading properly. So for that we need a colored water for getting the reading properly. And you can see a graduated scale over there, and see this reservoir with a stopcock. Now why this reservoir is present? This reservoir is present to bring the air bubble into its original position back again by loosening the stopcock, right? Because it will move after the water is being lost by the suction force, and again we have to take back this air bubble into its original position to get back again the test result. Clear? So this is a very, very important device in order to measure the exact amount of water which is being lost by the help of transpiration. Clear? But there are limitations with the use of this potometer. What are those? Introducing the air bubble is not very easy. The twig may not remain fully alive for a long time, and any changes in the outside air temperature may affect the position of the air bubble in the capillary tube. So these three are the points which are the disadvantages, which are the drawbacks, or you can say limitations in the use of potometer. You have to learn it. Clear? Now there are many kinds of transpiration. First kind is stomatal transpiration, another one is cuticular transpiration, Another one is lenticular transpiration. Now, first we have to know the stomata. Where is it present? In the ventral side of the leaf. Cuticle, surface of the leaf and stem. And lenticels, they are the minute openings on the surface of all stems. Clear? Now, what is the mechanism of stomatal transpiration? See, this diagram is very important. Another diagram is also very important. Let me show you now only. This is this one. As you can see the arrows in this diagram, these arrows are very important to understand the water, the direction of the water which is flowing inside the cells of the leaf. Clear? Now we'll come to that. First, you see mechanism of stomatal transpiration. They are the minute openings in the epidermal layer of leaves. The stoma is surrounded by two bean-shaped gourd cells. We all know that. During the daytime, the stomata are wide open primarily for the intake of CO2 for photosynthesis. The number of stomata may range from 1000 to 10,000 per centimeter square. In stomatal transpiration, the water vapor escapes through the stomata of the leaf. Water, after absorption by the roots from the soil, rises up through the stem and reaches the tissues of the leaves through the veins. A large number of spongy mesophyll cells in the leaves have their surfaces exposed to the inner intercellular spaces. Now, in this diagram, we need to know all the layers. First, you see cuticle, then you see upper epidermis, then you see palisade mesophyll tissues, then are the spongy mesophyll tissues, and in between we can see a lot of intercellular spaces, the dotted portion, and the lower epidermis, and we can see also the stomatal opening with the help of an arrow. Clear? These surfaces of the cells gives out some of the water as a thin film. The water from this film evaporates and the water vapor formed saturates the air in the intercellular spaces. The vapor then diffuses into the other connecting intercellular spaces and finally reaches the substomatal space. Now in this diagram we can see the substomatal space. Please see the labelings properly. You can see the substomatal space from where it escapes to the stomata. The entire movement of the water vapor from the surface of the cell into the outside atmosphere is a result of diffusion. The molecules of water vapor, like those of any gas, move from the region of their higher concentration to the region of the lower concentration. The cell sap in each cell exerts a turgor pressure outward on the cell wall. This pressure forces some water out of the cell wall into the air space between the cells. Here, the water evaporates and the water vapor diffuses through the air spaces between the mesophyll cells into the substomatal space, from where it finally goes out by diffusion through the stomata. So we need to know from where to where is it going. As you can see the xylem vessels over here. From the xylem vessels, the waters are coming inside to the leaf cells or leaf tissues. And then you please mark the arrows. You have to observe the arrows from where it is coming and from where it is going to where. And you can see very well that ultimately it is reaching into the substomatal space, and from the substomatal space it is diffusing out through the stomata. Clear? Okay students, so today up to this, please be sure that you are going through the diagrams properly, because the diagrams are very important in this chapter. We'll continue this chapter next day. Till then, you please go through the chapter properly, go through the diagrams properly. If you have any problem, any questions regarding any diagram or anything inside the chapter, you can ask me freely. I'll answer it in the comment box. Thank you.